Hey guys, what's going on? It is Ash here, coming at you today in Clash Royale with another pro tip interview. But before we get to that, I do want to get your opinions on this question that I posted on Twitter last night. I want to continue to bring you the best possible Clash Royale content on YouTube, so I need your advice, I need your suggestions. Do you like these pro tip interviews with full-length interviews like you're going to be getting today? Or do you like when it's just me talking, sharing their tips? Or do you like a little bit of both? Let me know in the comments below. Now let's get to this awesome interview with one of the best players in the entire game. You can see his player profile right now. That's right, he is Electrify. A lot of you guys know him, and today he's going to be sharing two new Hog Cycle decks that are both really, really good. So without further ado, Electrify, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing nice, man. How about you?
I am doing fantastic, man. I'm really excited. You messaged me about these decks, and right away I was like, oh man, this looks good, because you told me too you were on a 32 win streak with one of these decks.
Yeah, I went to 33 and then lost, but
33 and 1, not bad at all. So that was the one with the freeze poison, right?
Yeah, 33 with the Trojan freeze.
Wow. So great job, first of all. And we're looking at your player profile again, and I'm sure everybody in the audience right now, including me, is incredibly jealous. Look at these cards won, man. You are a beast. Do you ever stop playing grand challenges?
No, I actually play while asleep. That's a new thing.
Well, I don't doubt it, and you could probably whoop me even in your sleep. And congratulations on 100K. Have you hit it yet?
I'm about to, right after we're done with the video.
Awesome, awesome. Well, congratulations in advance. But anyway, let's get right to these decks. You know, and the viewers and you by this point know what we like to do in terms of the format of these videos. We're going to talk about both of the decks, offense and defense. We're going to talk about common mistakes. We're going to talk about possible substitutions, and then you're going to critique one of my recent replays. So let's hop right into it. Why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about your general philosophy about the deck, how you came up with it, and you can start with either one, whatever one you're more comfortable with, and just tell us a little bit about what you're trying to do with these decks.
Alright, so first of all, there's a player named Mikan, and he started out with Hog Cycle with a Princess and Mini P.E.K.K.A, and he went crazy with it. This deck was super OP, and then everybody came out with variation of Hog Cycles, and I thought of a Hog Cycle, and I wanted to add a freeze to it, because I know how strong freeze could be, but I figured that if you freeze something, then you get a huge counter push coming at you. So that's why I built the deck to like poison and inferno and everything to stop the counter push. Okay. So the deck's built around that. And the other deck is just to cycle as fast as you can and be able to pressure your opponent as much as you can, and then he couldn't form a big enough push to kill you.
Yeah, the Ice Golem deck is a 2.8 elixir deck with the pump, so it's like insane cycle.
Yeah,
and I like that. I actually really love that insight you gave about how you created a deck where you knew that if you included the freeze spell, that was gonna possibly be a defensive liability. So to compensate, you really went heavy on the defense on the other end with the Inferno and the poison and whatnot.
Yeah,
I like that. So is that generally, by the way, just a side note, is that generally how you make your decks? Do you kind of focus first on an offensive weapon and then build around it, or how do you go about that?
Yeah, I figure out like what could work, and then I like build it around like what could counter me and how can I prevent it from happening. So,
okay, I like that. So you come up with your win condition, and then you think of their counter, and then you think of your counter to that, basically.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think that's valuable advice to people out there who want to make their decks, but it's just kind of overwhelming. You know, where do you start? And half the time it doesn't work, and it becomes discouraging. And anyway, let's move on to the decks that we are talking about today. And let's start with the Freeze Poison deck, because that's the one that you went on the 33-0 streak before you had your loss.
Yeah.
I noticed that, and the folks viewing at home are going to notice that you use your freeze spell very sparingly with the Hog Rider offensively.
Right.
Can you talk about a little bit about the synergy between the freeze and the Hog Rider, and how you choose when to use the freeze with the Hog Rider?
Alright, so first of all, the freeze is a very strong card, but it could also like kill you, because if you use it, say, first push and they counter push, you could die easily. The thing I like to do, I like to keep the freezer secret. It could work like with Inferno. There's no push it can destroy, because like the zap resets the Inferno, but 5 seconds of freeze and the push is done. So I like to keep freezer secret, and when I know like that's the time to go for the win, I freeze, and I can add poison to kill the troops he used to kill the hog, so I can kill his troops and not worry about a counter push.
I like that. So your win condition, or your, at the very end of the match, when you want to whip out the big guns, if you have to, is really going to be Hog Rider, freeze, poison.
Yeah, that's against the beatdown deck. If he can't counter push you, he uses a cheap damage deck, then sometimes it could be even better to use a freeze, but you need not to do it so often, or like...
Okay, so you seem to be using the Hog Rider with either the Skeleton or the Ice Spirit, whatever is available in your cycle, and are you pretty much just doing that when you have the elixir, like after a successful defense? Are you pretty much, or after the opponent drops a heavy elixir card, is that when you're dropping the Hog?
Yeah, I like to do it, and also I like to, when I drop the Hog first, and then I use the Ice Spirit, Skeletons, or both, it helps me cycle, because like I use 2 cards, and then I need to use 2 cards, and then I'm back to Hog. So that's the thing. You gotta make sure you use it after the Hog most of the times to be more effective. I
really like that. So you're using it, not only the freeze spell, but also the poison spell. You're not really using the poison spell with the Hog Rider, or very rarely do you use the poison spell with the Hog Rider. With the Hog Rider, you pretty much try to use it when your opponent is low on elixir, and you just use it with the Ice Spirit or the Skeleton in most cases. Is that correct?
Yeah, I combine it some with poison when I can poison a pump, a troop, and the tower with the Hog. So that's a good case. But sometimes when people just poison the tower and expect it to be a volley freeze, and then they die to a counter push, that's why you can't just use the poison just like that before you know the opponent's stack or anything.
Yeah, that's really valuable. That's really valuable information. Have I mentioned that you're giving valuable information? I've probably said it like 10 times, but it is a good tip, and that's one area that I struggle in, and I'm gonna get a little diverged here, but I play a minor control deck usually, and I notice that some people, some really good tournament players, when they play a minor control deck, I notice that when they send in their minor by himself to do offensive like chip damage, I notice that they combo with the poison every single time regardless of how the opponent plays, just so that the tower is so slow killing the miner and they can do an extra 100 or 200 damage. Is that something that you do sometimes, or is it, or like, what's your philosophy on that?
Sometimes, yeah. To do it like alone with a Hog when you don't hit a troop or a pump, that's not a good idea. That's like a huge elixir loss, and you don't want to do that. When you can hit a pump, a tower, and you throw a Hog, and you know you're gonna hit, say, guards or mini pick or anything, that's good value, because you know it slows down the tower and the troop and everything. Okay. But when you do it by itself, it's not good.
Okay, awesome. Why don't you talk a little bit about the Ice Golem, what your early thoughts on the card are, first of all, and how you came up with the Ice Golem deck, and obviously we've already discussed it's a very cheap deck, but what's your philosophy behind that offensively?
Alright, so I think it's kind of underrated, because it's a tank, and it costs elixir.
Yes.
So you can do plenty things of it, and I thought when you combo it with a Hog, you get like a pretty, like 1,000 health, 1,200 health extender to the Hog, and it freezes everything that's trying to kill the Hog. So you throw a 6 elixir push with the Ice Golem and a Hog, and then it gets to the tower, and the mini pick targets the Ice Golem, and it dies. It slows down the mini pick, and you get like 400 extra damage this value with it. And it's crazy on defense. Like, it's tanky, and you can slow down the troops, and it's really good.
Yeah, and it does even, well, we'll talk about it more on defense in a second, because I have some thoughts too on defense and some questions, but on offense, can you talk a little bit about, because it's such a slow moving, it's so super slow, it's like the golem speed, because it's so slow and the Hog is so fast, is there any tricks to placing them and when you want to do a Hog push?
Yeah, what I do, I drew Ice Golem right on the bridge, and then I drop the Hog not right on the bridge. I drop it a little bit behind, so it could push the Ice Golem straight to the tower, and say the Ice Golem speed is slow and the Hog is very fast. Combined, their speed is fast, so it gets to the tower faster, and that's the trick.
I like that. I like that. So that's pretty much offense. Why don't we talk a little bit about defense with both of the decks? And you seem to be a very defensive-minded player. It seems like that is, you're very safe, and it obviously wins you a lot of matches. Is that true? Am I right there in that observation?
Not that. I like to be offensive, but as much as I like that, you can't win by just being offensive. You need to get elixir lead first of all to make a push that could win you the game, or to even win the game. It's all about the elixir. So when you play smart defense and you defend well with not spending a lot of elixir, then you're gonna win. That's how you win. So I go for that. And
okay, speaking of elixir, because you mention it, and it's really important to have the advantage, which everybody knows that. But as a real pro player, do you have any tips for people when trying to monitor how much elixir your opponent has? Are you the type of player who always knows how much elixir your opponent has, or is it just kind of a feel for you can tell when they're low?
When I have like an important match and everything, I count elixir. Yeah, say they drop a mini P.E.K.K.A. and I counter it with skeletons, then I know it's 4-1. Then I'm on a 3 elixir lead, and I know when I have 7 elixir, they have 4, and so on. So I calculate that. But when I play challenges or everything, I just get a feel for it. I know that I'm defending with a low elixir cost troop for say Ice Spirit for Mega Minion. That's 2 elixir, and it piles up, and eventually you get a pretty big elixir lead. So when I need to count elixir, I do. But sometimes you just get a feel of it, and you don't really need to count all the time.
Yeah,
It's a lot of thinking.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's refreshing for me to know, because I can't. I mean, it's like blackjack. I can't count cards, and I can't count elixir either. Like as much as I'm kind of with you in where you are at Grand Challenges personally, because even if I try to do the exercise of counting my opponent's elixir the entire match, I can only last like a minute, if that, and then I'm like, okay, how much do they have, and then I end up misplaying. So. Would you have any tips or advice for people like me who want to get better at that, or is it just something you have to just keep doing?
If you want to get better at that, the thing you should do is play a game, try to count elixir, and then you can watch the replay, and you can hide the elixir bar when it shows how much elixir you have, and you can calculate it, and when you think you know how much elixir you have or your opponent has, you can just stop and check if that's true. Say you have 4 elixir lead and you hide the opponent's elixir bar, then if you have 8, he's supposed to have 4. So you check, and if you're right, you're right. If you're off, well, I didn't do it. Well, I should do it again. So that is
such an obvious but such an amazing tip. Why didn't I think of that? That's great. That's good stuff. So. Talking about defense on the poison freeze deck, I noticed that you're definitely not afraid to use the freeze defensively. In fact, you do it almost every game that we've shared here. So what is your philosophy on using freeze defensively? I know you like to keep it secret if possible, but it seems like if you're in a bind, you're not gonna hold back either.
Yeah, I use freeze like Mega Minion and freeze can kill like an entire Barbarians and Hog Rider push, like no problem. Freeze is amazing on defense, and if you have a crazy push coming at you and you don't know how to deal with it, you can freeze it, and then you have time to think and you have time to react to it. Say you use your poison and someone throwing a minion hard at you, freeze and it's done, or Ice Spirit freeze. You can't deal with it.
So let's say you have like Mega Minion and a Barbarians coming at you in one lane, and you only have like 6 elixir, but you have poison and freeze both up. What is your play gonna be?
I'll play poison, and then I'm probably gonna have a cycle card. So I could use skeletons to pull the Barbarians and the Mega Minion and buy some times. By the time the poison is gone, I'm gonna be set, or I could use Ice Spirit to freeze it in the poison, and then I'm gonna be set to that. So
perfect.
yeah.
Yep. That makes perfect sense. How about in the Ice Golem cycle deck and the Hog Ice Golem variation? Are you do you find a little bit of a defensive liability that you don't have the Inferno Tower?
Probably. I'm not sure about it because like Inferno.
It's so new.
Inferno is good against everything, air. But you have Mega Minion, it covers the air and ground thing. The only thing is lightning. That could be a problem, although you can cycle very quickly to another Mega Minion, so it's debatable. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, the jury's still out, kind of, on the best combinations with the Ice Golem decks, because the card's only been out for 2 days at the time of this recording, at least. So,
yeah.
But it's so fast that you have a really good, or you can really set the table nicely in terms of applying a really large amount of pressure to your opponent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that can keep them on their toes enough that you don't need to lean heavily on the Inferno.
Right.
So just finishing up here, do you have any common mistakes that people have with either of these decks or with Hog Cycle decks in general?
There are like a lot of tricks you can do. Like with Hog, you can counter a mini P.E.K.K.A with Hog and getting the Hog to the tower without the mini P.E.K.K.A touching it and mini P.E.K.K.A dying. There are a lot of you should get an elixir lead, and that's what the thing is all about. Because if you get an elixir lead and you throw a Hog when you have 4 elixir and they have, let's say, 2 elixir, that's 1,000 damage to their tower. You need to make sure you get an elixir lead. You need to make sure you're defending well, because like defense, you can throw everything on offense and then expect to defend the counter push. You need to be smart about it, not to waste everything, but...
Yep. And that's why I think it was valuable that I pointed out, or that you pointed out, that rarely are you unloading a freeze, a Hog Rider, and an Ice Spear offensively, especially early on, because that leaves you so vulnerable defensively. So I think it all ties back to just managing your elixir well throughout the entire match.
But when I have, say, I defended a push with Mega Minion, and it has, say, half the health, and then I can throw a Hog, and then freeze the whole thing. So the Mega Minion will clear the defending troop, and then the Hog will hit the tower, and then the Mega Minion will hit the tower. That's valuable.
Do you have a sec to go over my recent replay? Or I know it's like 3 a.m. where you are, so I don't want to wake up your entire house or keep it too long.
Yeah, all right. Tell me when to start.
I'm going to press play in 3, 2, 1. So, you can just go... I'm playing against a Lava Hound deck, a Lava Hound Balloon deck. And yeah, it's my first time using the deck. I'm using the freeze poison variation because my Ice Golem's only level 5 now, I think, or 6. But anyway, just go ahead and pick apart anything that I do wrong here.
All right, that's good to push the other lane when he drops a high elixir cost troop.
Yep.
Well, so far so good.
Yeah. So the minion horde, I decided to use the poison because I really didn't have much else.
Yeah, that was alright. I like to destruct the Mega Minion with skeletons and then drop the Mega Minion.
Okay.
So your Mega Minion won't take damage, or it will take 1 Mega Minion. That's alright.
That's a good point. I did notice you doing that a lot. Now that I watched your replays first, I did notice that you use your skeletons a lot defensively just for distraction and to buy time.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Here comes the Inferno Dragon now.
Yeah.
I decided to pump up instead of doing the Hog push because I didn't have any cycle card to go with it.
Yeah, you gotta have an elixir lead. That's smart.
Yep. And then here it's pretty basic. I decided to use a freeze on the Inferno Dragon there. What do you think about that?
That was good. Because you don't want to waste your poison. As what's it called? Mini heart. So yeah, that was smart.
So far so good. Maybe a little bit better at the whatchamacallit there, the skeleton placement, but
yeah.
So I take a little damage to those minions.
Yeah.
But I didn't really have a choice, I don't think.
Yeah, you're right. So you did a pretty good job. Nice.
Well, I had just watched all your replays. So that's why I think these videos are so popular. The ones that I have you guys come on and teach me a deck, because you gain so much from just hearing the tips behind the decks rather than just picking them up.
Yeah. Wow.
So he does a decent amount of damage to my left tower here. I probably had bad poison placement there.
Yeah, but it's alright because you had 2 pumps on none, so that's GG.
So yeah, did you see? I did the hog freeze poison there.
Yeah, that's the golden combo.
That was it. Yeah. I really wanted that tower, but I didn't end up getting it. Maybe I could have gone super aggressive, but it doesn't really matter. So.
The Inferno placement could have killed you.
yeah, you got to place it more to the left, right?
Yeah, free save you.
Yeah, yes. So overall, all right. Need to get a little bit better at my placement and my skeleton usage, but it seems like I have it pretty well down, I guess.
Yeah, it was awesome.
All right, man. Well, I'll see you in 100,000 cards. But seriously, thank you so much for doing this again. Do you have any shout-outs or something? I know you have a new clan that you want to mention.
Yeah, I'm on a new clan. We're all in it. Takeover. We're top 10 global, I think, already. I want to shout out the leader, Eric, and yeah.
That's so cool. I know that. Yeah, I'm checking global right now, and you just left, so I'm not exactly where you guys are right now, but either way, it's it looks like a really good group of players. So right now they're 16th in the world, and and Zed's there right now.
Yeah.
Oh, and Tag is too, huh?
Yeah, we're all in it.
Oh man, I didn't know that so many of you guys were in the clan. Really cool. Well, good luck with everything, and thanks so much for coming on again, man.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Take care.
All right. Take care.